Jude here from Portfolio Oomph. I'm here with our Thursday lunchtime questions and answers, but a chance for us to talk to you about something that might be happening in your portfolio at the moment. Things that have arisen here with Portfolio Oomph, with students that we've seen. What we wanted to talk to you about today was one of the most common things that we see in portfolios, particularly from school portfolios, higher, advanced higher, but often, with any student, whether they're mature students or from school. And I'm wondering if you can guess actually what one of the most common themes, one of the most common things that you'll see in a portfolio for art college. If you've seen the caption that we wrote with this video, you'll see that it's portraits. I suppose one of the easiest, most readily available two-hand things is you. You've always got yourself there to be working from, with a mirror. And the kind of range, I suppose, of the things that we see in portfolios are straight portraits, just straight from the mirror, portraits done from photograph. And one thing that I often see are portraits showing some kind of emotion, some kind of facial angst, or some kind of way of distorting the face in some sense, often to fit in with a theme that's been set by either the examining board. So these kind of things, this kind of subject matter is quite common. And when we talk about a portfolio for art college, we talk about trying to make your portfolio unique or individual, something that's something that's not necessarily been seen before. And you may think, well, yeah, that's right, a portrait of me, nobody's seen that before, I'm going to do a portrait of me. But what I'd like to try and talk to you about is just trying to delve a little bit deeper than a portrait that is just of you, a portrait that is purely based on the visual aspects of your face. Trying to get you to think about, the idea of a portrait is communicating something about you, but can anything else communicate things about you? Is there a different way to portray you rather than just using your face? I'm trying to get you to think about producing something that is not, something that's not been seen before. Portraits are always often in portfolios. So just some ideas. Trying to think about what are your interests, what says something about you that isn't necessarily your face. What interests do you have? What do you do in your spare time? What do you like to do? If you're in groups, if you have groups, friendship groups, what kinds of things identify your group of friends rather than just that sort of image of you? Is there some sort of connecting theme that your group of friends can be identified by? Something to think about. Uniforms. We don't just necessarily mean, a work uniform or a school uniform, but is there a uniform that you and your friends kind of adhere to? A very specific way of dressing. We're all kind of influenced by fashion and that kind of thing, but is there a very specific kind of thing that you have to wear, shoes that you have to have, something that identifies you and your group? Talk a little bit more, I suppose, about that. The idea of, how you're portrayed by, how your friends see you. What kind of image are you putting across to them? If you look at something like your social media profile pages or your social media presence, how do you come across to your friends? How do you come across to anybody who might find you? Because I think this idea of, who you are, the portrait, I feel needs to be explored in much more detail, somewhere in a way that's not so obvious in portfolios. So I'm just trying to get you to think a little bit about how you could, get this message across about who you are in perhaps a different way than normal. We've talked to students before as well about this idea of the selfie, what it is you're portraying through the selfie. is the selfie really you? You know, there's all sorts of depths to this that, you know, you could explore. And we've talked a bit about with past students, you know, how you have to look. Do you have to be posing for the camera? Do you have to be pouting at the camera? Does all this kind of have any sort of influence on the real you? So that's just a few things that I'd like you to have a think about. So trying to explore who you are in a different way is much more interesting for the people looking at your portfolio than just a sort of straight portrait. So thinking about this going forwards, you know, we have various courses that we do with Portfolio Oomph, and there's a module in the course that we're running at the moment, the Plan, Create, Succeed course, that's about identity, and it's looking at all sorts of different artists who use portraiture, you know, work with identity, trying to get across, you know, how they want to be perceived. So there's lots of interesting videos for you to watch on this course. There's lots of interesting artists to look at, and some great exercises in how you can start to think about yourself in a slightly different way. So that's really what I wanted to talk to you about today: the portrait, identity, who you are, and how you can try and show that in your portfolio to make it a little bit different. I mean, I'm here if anybody wants to ask any questions about that. Anybody's got any questions about what they would like to possibly explore within a portrait. I'll hang on just a few minutes. There's a few of you watching. I'll just hang on a minute or two. If you want to ask any questions about either identity or portraiture, or anything about a portfolio at the moment, if you're putting together a portfolio perhaps for a foundation course, the UCAS, you know, deadlines have closed at the moment unless you're applying through clearing, or you've got any extra UCAS applications. But if you've got any questions that you want to ask, just pop them in the message box below, and if not, then we will finish up for today, but I'll just hang on a minute or two more. Okay, well, I'm not seeing anything coming up, so I'm guessing that you're all pretty happy with the way things are going. We'll be back this time next week, Thursday next week at lunchtime, so hopefully catch some of you then. But anyway, hope this is finding you well and everything's going well. I know a lot of you have got exams at the moment, so good luck, guys, with exams, and we'll see you next week.